All right, before we go into our next segment this morning, let's quickly let you know that Ibrahim Shita just joined me this morning.
Veronica, good morning to you. Good to see you.
Same here. Well, the launch of former military President Ibrahim Babangida's autobiography, A Journey in Service, has continued to generate reactions from prominent lawyers, human rights activists, and other Nigerians. This is following his admission almost 32 years after the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, which was widely adjudged freest, fairest, and most credible poll in the history of the country, that Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, popularly known as MKO Abiola, was the winner. The media, which is known as the fourth estate of the realm, has also helped to promote this, but how well has justice been served? But joining us in the studio is columnist, TV host, essayist, Sam Omatseye. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Happy New Year, I believe this.
Happy New Year, that's true. The last time we saw was in November or December, thereabouts.
Something like that.
Yes.
In the other end.
Other place. I just say welcome to your palace.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for coming, and welcome to Ibrahim as well. I mentioned
Thank
that earlier on. But
Yeah.
let's look at this matter, Sam, concerning what former military head of state Ibrahim Babangida has said. If you look at the papers this morning, this Nigeria, there is a report saying June 12, why I won't use the word sorry, IBB. He says, I have told Nigerians that, look, I accept full responsibility. It is bigger to accept responsibility. You should see the event beyond the narrow word sorry. How do you respond to this?
I wrote this morning in my column that IBB conned everybody, conned the media, conned political elite, conned everybody when they reported that IBB said, I regret. IBB never said, I regret. He never said that. He said that the nation is entitled to expect an impression of my regret. He used Maradona for you people. That guy deserves the Nobel Prize for his manipulation of language. He never said, I regret. People thought that he said, I regret, and that he was sorry, the one you are doing, and that he apologized. IBB has never changed his opinion since 32 years ago. And one way or the other, he has used the razzmatazz of language to manipulate our own credulity, that we are now accepted that the man said, I regretted. He didn't say so. Editors should be careful when they cast headlines, when they read language. He never said, I'm sorry. He never, you see, when you regret, it means that you are remorseful.
Right.
He was not remorseful. And you have to be remorseful in order to apologize.
Right.
He never did any of that. It's not, the only thing he did was actually anodyne. He said, Abiola won the election. That's the only thing we have been able to get
and
from
he pointed accusing fingers at the late
Abacha.
Yes.
Abacha Sani.
Yes, he said it was Abacha. If you read the book, I forgot to bring my copy of the book. If you read the book, he blamed everybody except himself. But he said I took responsibility.
He said he took
So
responsibility.
is that even
accepted?
possible in a military situation where we understand that respect for hierarchy is sacrosanct?
He's the commander-in-chief. Everything stops at your table. A man who came into the AFRC one day and they dissolved it, said, I don't have control over what is going on. Everything about the transition program of IBB was a reflection of IBB's personality. So to say that he did not, that he want to blame Abacha, Abacha himself showed that he didn't like June 12. He didn't like it for sure. Right. Because when he took over from the ING, he had a meeting with Abiola and everybody, but he still didn't.
Right.
He didn't give Abiola the mandate. So that's why Abiola after some people joined the government, Jakonde, Onogoruwa and co, when they joined the government, they thought that we were going to segue the state into accepting Abiola's mandate. But what Abacha did was to dig in. So he was trying to exploit that fact to say that Abacha people did it. He said that, was he afraid of Abacha? He said he was not afraid of Abacha, but he was only thinking of his own safety. Some people think there's contradiction there. There's no contradiction there. You are not, you are afraid of, you don't want the soldier at the other side to kill you, but you want to be safe.
You want to be safe.
Yes, exactly.
Right, so now, quoting from Babangida's book, he said, my decision was a bitter pill to swallow, but necessary to prevent a collapse of the federation. And if you, no, I'm actually heading somewhere. If you recall that in 1993, you were very much alive then and very active. So it occurred amid regional tensions, struggling economy, which was even above 30% or about, and fears of military fragmentation. So if you're now given this fragile state of Nigeria during this time, do you not agree with the some apologists who said that, who framed IBB's annulment as temporary sacrifice rather to avoid a deeper crisis?
That's the thing about IBB. IBB created the tension and then it blamed the tension. That's what it did. When the election ended that day, everybody was waiting for the announcement of the result. Day 1, there was nothing. Day 2, there was nothing. Day 3, there was nothing, and we were all waiting. I was in Abuja. I was head of Concord office in Abuja. And I was seated on my desk when Mohammed Adamu, our villa correspondent, came to me. He came with a scrap of paper, almost like that paper you had, almost like that. He just brought it. I said, what is this? There was no signature, no letterhead, no insignia of state. There was nothing like that. And I said, what is it? He said, Nduka Irabo gave it to all of us. And I read it. It didn't say they dissolved June 12. It just said everything about the transition, everything had been dissolved. So I called the editor in Lagos. And when he heard it, he said, please call the editor-in-chief, that's Abiola's wife. So I called her, I read it to her. I said, what does it mean? Because she was actually already angry, as if she didn't understand what I read to her. I said, well, it means that the election has been annulled, and she was blaming the messenger, blaming me that you should have known this before. I would like to know. Now, what's going on is that in the book, IBB said that Ikomo did not know about it. Yet his chief press secretary was the one that handed it over to us. So I tried to call Nduka Irabo, who was the chief press secretary. Is that true? I couldn't reach him. But Nduka Irabo should come and tell us, did Ikomo, your boss, know about this paper? And why did you hand it over to the media? Why did you hand it over to the media without the knowledge of your boss? Or was IBB lying in that?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That's a quick
one. IBB didn't take responsibility for everything. ABN, Association for Better Nigeria by Arthur Nzeribe, was all over the place. IBB said the thing just happened. They didn't know anything about it. So they didn't want anybody to think that they were trying to stop them. What kind of statement is that? And you went after Tel magazine, you went after CD, you went after CDHR, you went after other CLO. For goodness sake, they went after me. There were 2 cars. Olu Akerele was the one that even told me. I didn't know. Olu Akerele was the real first aide to MK Abiola. Was the one who told me that, look, there are 2 cars following you, a Jetta and a 505. Because then I knew. I'd not even had accommodation there. So the wife, there was one day we were coming from the Nikon. They used to call it Nikon that time, the Hilton, Nikon Noga Hilton at that time. We went for a night out with the host of the family. The women, they know things. So one of the cars was following us. I didn't want them to know. I didn't want them to be hassled where I was staying, that something was going on. But the wife, by the time we got to the compound, the car just zoomed up. Boom. The wife said, this car has been following us since the time we left. I said, really? But I pretended I didn't know, but I knew. Yeah. But I knew. You know, that is how the tension they created.
How did you escape? Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Well, that time there was no fuel. There was no fuel. There was fuel scarcity, and I had to go to Lagos because they had already banned my newspaper at Concord. So what happened? I didn't tell anybody I was traveling. I went to buy a jerry can. I filled my car. Then I had an extra one. That's how we moved around that time. Put it in the trunk of the car, the boot of the car. By 4 a.m., I told my host, I'm going to Lagos. So I got into the car and zoomed off. So before my interlopers, before they knew where I was, I had already left town.
Interesting stuff. Right.
Interesting.
So if you look at, because a lot of people have written books, regarding this. There's what happened in June 12. There's Wole Soyinka, You Must Set Forth at Dawn.
Yes.
And he called the annulment a treason against the people. But if you look at it, how did IBB's retrospective justification in his book fail to address the irreparable damage to democratic values or democratic
He doesn't
ethos?
want to. He's even excusing himself. He's saying that because he annulled it, you get it? Because he annulled it, the country does not disintegrate, and that is why we are able to have democracy. That is how serpentine his logic is. That's why I use the word rhetorical rigmarole to describe the way he uses it. He's justifying it. He said it that day.
So he's trying to position himself as a hero.
As a hero. That's what he's trying to say. He's saying, I saved this country for democracy. If I had gone to change it, if I had allowed Abiola, the country would have disintegrated. That's
because according to him,
some
persons who were still interested in killing him at the end of the day.
He said they wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
Why don't you kill the people who wanted to kill him? You are the commander-in-chief.
Right.
Let the people defend the person who won the mandate. Don't act as if you have all the knowledge.
Right.
And then he said, if I were to do it again, I would do it differently. And people believe that I meant that it would disannul. You said that there was no other choice, but to annul. I say you would do it differently. So you are just lying. You are not going to do it differently.
I'm wondering what he would do differently.
What do you do differently? What will you do when you said that?
You say it's the right decision.
It's the right decision. I did this in the interest of the unity and the survival of this country. Then you will do it differently means that you wanted the country to dissolve.
Okay, let's look at the role of the media, because you just mentioned something earlier on that editors need to be careful how they couch their headlines and all of that, because we saw that at that time the media was on fire, ensuring that they gave details to the people about giving blow-by-blow account of everything that was happening. But how do you think that shaped the public's understanding of the event?
The media was very strong that time. The kudos will go to the news detail. And there were some other ones. I remember one magazine, I forgot the name of the guy. I remember the headline, How Nigeria Will Disintegrate, Part 1. There were people out. Babafemi Ojudu has just written a book about his own, the adventures of the guerrilla journalist, which I've read. I think people should go and read to know. Those people who are calling for military rule should know how dastardly and how cruel and how bloody the atmosphere was at that time. So the media held its own. The people were being hounded from place to place. They were printing. They will print here tomorrow. They print there. They don't want people to know. I mean, if the internet there, you don't even need to print anywhere. You just put it online and everybody would know what
in the
is
course
there.
of this whole matter.
No, Delegiwa was dead then. Yes, Delegiwa had long
died.
Even Newswatch, which was a very strong paper during the time of Babangida, was not even a factor at that time. The papers, the newspapers, the two major headaches for the military were the news and the Tell magazine.
That's right. That's right.
Omatseye, Gebo, and so on. People don't talk a lot about what the Tell did. They talk about the news, but they were both very powerful and feared, and they were pursued.
So how do you see Babangida's confession, or let me just put it that way, how do you see it as, I mean, because if you look at the annulled elections, the presumed winner, MKO, was a Yoruba icon, and then it has actually polarized reaction with, for instance, Professor Ibrahim Babangida cautioning against reigniting regional animosity, because they see him as, yes, a Yoruba icon, and then now having sentiments towards the northern part, because Babangida is of the northern extraction. How can we balance this as you look at Tinubu in the mix of things as a Yoruba leader, navigate alliances ahead of the 2027 election?
There's nothing new about this. There's always regional and ethnic tensions. There will always be elites who want to exploit this kind of atmosphere. At that time, there was actually tension in the country. You know, there was hunger because some people could not work.
Inflation was way more than 30%.
The access for food was difficult. Access to fuel was difficult, and there was also regional tension. There was a sense that the Igbos just moved home. Many of them just moved home. And ironically, the person who was regarded as the governor of Lagos was Ubani, who was, anytime he said nobody should go to work, we started calling him the governor of Lagos. He's dead now. But you know, he was the one that was holding the fort here in Lagos. So it's a very interesting story. But the thing is that the president was there, and was there for good measure, I'm sure, to try to say that. But there was an irony to it too. When he went there, he also needled him and said, remember, you didn't want to inaugurate the Senate, because the Senate had already won an election. Didn't want to inaugurate the Senate. It was one of them, you know, needling the governor at that time, so they went after him and so on. So the regional tension was there, and there was a sense that the Southwest wanted to own everything. But then how did they resolve it? They resolved it, including IBB going to Ota, saying that, look, let it be a Southwest presidency. That's what Obasanjo, who didn't believe in it, took advantage of it.
Anyway, we'll come back to this whole conversation after we return from this break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're still looking at the statement coming from the former military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, and we still have in the studio Sam Omatseye reacting to that statement and other issues around that. Let's talk about what Nigerians are saying about that event, first of all, before we delve into other matters. Recall that the president, the current president, talking about Bola Tinubu, was part of those who were at the heart of the struggle at the time. And some Nigerians seeing him at that event were not necessarily happy. They were like, Mr. President, you honored this invitation, and some said he was even smiling and all of that. So many commentaries around his attendance. I'm wondering what you make of the president's attendance of that event. Yes, you said he nipped him a bit earlier on, but there are those who are not seeing that aspect.
Yes, I recall this short story I read many years ago by Senegalese writer Ousmane Sembène, called Her 3 Days. It's a short story about a woman, a polygamous home where all the women all the wives, each of them would take their turns in spending 3 days with the husband. So the writer described the relationship between the wives as the perfidy of smiles and the hypocrisy of rivals. So he described it like that. So what you saw between them was what I saw during the inauguration between Obama and Trump. I know people watched it. Obama had the greatest contempt for Trump. Trump had the greatest contempt for. Yorubas call it Ojuayi. That's what happened there. You are president. You have already won. Winston Churchill, he said, during the Second War, he said, in war, resolution, in victory, magnanimity, in defeat, defiance. You have already won. You are president of the country. Why do you need the grudge anymore? This man is already down. He might have made a profit of 16 billion, but he's already down. He who is down needs fear no fall. The man is already down. Is he going to fight him now at 83 or 84?
That's right.
Is he going to do that? I mean, there are different ways of grieving too. There's this novel called The Discomfort of Youth by Maria Lucas Reineveld, in which somebody died and it showed how different ways how a family can can show his own
grief.
So there are different ways of showing grief. Perhaps the president's way of showing grief is to say, you didn't want us, we are here. You are here. I'm the president, I'm going to speak last in this event.
That's right.
And then I took opportunity to tell him, you were banning and unbanning, unbanning and unbanning. Well, you cannot unban me, I'm here standing. So there are many ways of making a statement. He made 16 billion. Let them give me the 15 billion. Let them go and build the library. People are saying, why should they take the 16 billion? They say they should distribute it to the poor. It's blood money. Let them use that money. Let them use that money to go and build that, what they call it, library. So everybody can see all the atrocities of the it become a monument to the times that the man made.
Well, we'll have to be careful on that one. We'll have to be careful on that.
That's the thing. So
no, but it's true. It's true. The money is what? Is to appreciate a book that's trying to justify an age of savage.
Or probably because it was his own experience.
Don't see it in that light. Perhaps those who donated do not see it in that light. They are only supporting a cause of building a library.
A library for what?
In his name.
To tell the story of...
The story may not go down.
That's the story of the book. The story of June 12. The story of June 12 is the story. Yeah, the story of June 12 is the story of an annulment of an election. It's the story of the killing of many people on the streets of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
It is the story of the killing of major high-class, high-profile people like Kudirat Abiola, MK Abiola himself. The story of the killing of our fellow journalist Bagauda Kalto, and many others.
But then
it is the story of hunger and destruction of Nigerian economy.
You can go on. Yes. You can go on and on. I know you can go on and on. You know, there are different angles to a story.
Absolutely.
You have your own angle to it as someone, a partaker, not in whatever, maybe the striking or anything, but as a journalist, you know, being socially responsible to the people. He also had his own perspective. Perhaps that is what he has, you know, gone ahead to detail in this book. So should we criticize him for, you know, detailing his own perspective as to what happened?
But the point is
back
that
in the day?
yes, it is. What did he detail? It was a story about defending himself about a time that was full of turmoil, a turmoil that happened on his watch, a turmoil that he took full responsibility in his own language for. So he took full responsibility for the killings, for the annulment of the election. He took full responsibility for the consequences of his action. And so it was a period of bloodshed. So that is the story of June 12. It is a story of bloodshed. It is a story of injustice.
Wow.
It is a story of the annulment of Nigeria's future.
Which he feels he's trying to rewrite as it is. And some have said perhaps he's trying to purge his conscience, because there is the saying that conscience is an open wound, only truth can heal it. So I believe this is his truth, and he feels he's been healed.
Yes, let us see all those. Let us see the wound. They say it's an open wound.
Yes.
Let us see the wound in the library, and let us see whether he's able to really heal it. We can find the truth to heal it. That's why I said they should have the library.
Has been healed by this.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I believe that is what he's trying to do.
There's a novel, what they call it, Dombe and Sons, where the man, you know, was very, you know, by Charles Dickens and so on. He was very rich. He had this big mansion, and everything was so beautiful.
That's right.
And he thought that he was a man of great conscience. He only wanted the son, and he didn't care for his daughter. And at the end of it, he lost everything. And he had no big building, he had no mansion. He was a poor, wretched man at the end of the day. And the man who you thought that was very confident became at war with his, showed that he was at war with his own conscience from the beginning.
All right, so there's a question I want to ask you. There's a question I want to ask you, regarding MKO. You know, we have all of the players at that time.
Yes.
IBB, whose person we are discussing, having a conversation on. But if you look at MKO, a lot of critics have actually seen it from different perspectives. Are you saying that MKO, a president that never was, would have been the angel Nigeria needed at that time. I'm going somewhere. Nigeria needed at that time. Are we not over-romanticizing him as a hero of the Nigerian democracy?
He became a hero by default. If a man was supposed to be bad and you didn't allow him to be bad, the process of not allowing him has magnified and amplified his virtues. That's what has happened. So we don't know whether MKO would have been a great president. He himself said it in the book that MKO would not have been a great president. We were in this country when he started maligning MKO by calling top Yoruba men to MKO and started showing them the books, the contracts, and so on. And the Oni of Ife say, "Yay, she like funi." That's Oni of Ife. So that's why he said that they cannot try best. You can't vote again. Nobody wanted to vote again. But the good thing about it, some people are saying that IBB is a coward. I don't know whether it's a coward.
Choice of words, please.
Some people say so. I'm saying I don't believe that. That's why I'm saying that I don't believe that. That is a coward because he did so many great things in his life. Right. Yeah.
Which he was eulogized even at that time.
Yeah, there's so many things that cowards don't do. For instance, during the coup against that was the coup against Muritala at that time. Yeah. He went into the building to meet Oka, the radio station. And Oka said, Bukasuka Dimka. And Dimka wanted to shoot him. He said, no, I'm coming. I'm without arms. He entered. I went to talk with him. Before he left again on his own. His ADC, that's Buka's assistant, he said, no, let us just finish this man. He said, no, leave him. When he went back, and T.Y. Danjuma said, what are you doing? Go back and flush him out.
So, do you think that...
the man who did coups over coups and over coups, we call him a coward? I don't think he's a coward. He knows what he's a calculated man.
Right. That's why some people call him the evil genius.
He said he called himself that.
And people
denied it again, which is in character.
Anyway, so let's still look at the role of the media, for instance, at ensuring that June the 12th is recognized as Democracy Day. Do you think that the media also played a major role at ensuring that the incidents of that day 32 years ago is still very much alive in our minds, and that we needed to recognize that day?
Until we practice democracy the way it ought to be practiced, we still have June 12 as an incubus. It's always haunting us because it has become something of a banner of what we are aspiring for. It becomes a symbol, has become something of a shrine of our democracy. That's what it is. So the journalists strive towards it. I'm not as if journalists were all united. There were some journalists who were actually on the take, on the other side, who were on the side of
bound to happen.
It's bound to happen. It's a human story. It's a human nature. It's human nature. Yes.
Right. Let us look at the youth in the middle of all of this. Yeah. For instance, 70% of youth are under 30. Compare that time to this time. And the majority of them could not essentially relate with what happened back in the day, but most of us read the history. But the thing is, it actually, if you go to social media, it trended hashtag IBB confession, hashtag arrest IBB, and try him now, and so many hashtags. If you look at all of these, vis-a-vis this book written by Okolo, Digital Activism in Africa, do you think IBB's confession inadvertently empower youth-led movements demanding systemic change?
We see this systemic change is IBB going to. IBB, it's very good that they are trying to show interest. I know most of them don't even know what happened then. Many of them don't even read history. The young people don't read history. They should go and read history. They should know what happened that time. It's just recent history. To us, it's not. To me, it's not history. It's like part of lived experience.
That's right.
We saw it every day. Right. I was out of job. I remember that time I had no salary. I had no money in my pocket. I wanted to cook, and I didn't have meat, little money I had. I went to the market.
But you could buy fuel.
No, I know my car was down. I wouldn't buy fuel. My car was down for a long time.
To drive down to Lagos when did you?
No. I'm talking of different phases of that period. That was after. No, after I'd come to Lagos.
All right.
You were out of job following the incident.
Yeah, at the stage. I went to the market. I wanted to buy meat, and the man said, the money where you get cannot buy meat here. He said, well, let me cut this and give you for free.
Also kind of
demand. There were situations like that. And you should go and read history to know what really happened, to appreciate the struggles that went on at that time. People, different kinds of people struggled. Market women struggled. There are all kinds of people who were in the fight, who are anonymous today, who were supporting people who were in this struggle. So the youth should go and read things that happened at that time in order to appreciate this kind of thing. Yeah.
Quickly, because of our time, time they say heals all wound, but for the family, do you think they will have closure with this statement?
Which family?
MQ Abiola's family.
No, I don't think they have any closure with this because they feel that the man is not. I don't want to use this word. People are restraining him.
Yeah,
it's
so
not who he claims to be.
Okay.
So, and it's not saying he has not changed everything. The man has already been. He said June 12. He's saying that June 12 was won by Abiola. Buhari has already declared it officially, and the man has given GSL
and apologized.
So
there's nothing different.
What have you come? You just come here to get a profit to laugh at us.
All right. We'll have to leave the conversation. Kusama Mashe, TV host, essayist, columnist, author. Thank you so much for your time on the program. It's so good having you.
Thank you.
All right, we will take a break, but still to come. Citizens weigh in on the allegations against USAID. Stay with us for that conversation.